Yo, what's up? Welcome back to another episode of the SWUS NBA Tuesday. I'm recording this super early. I'm actually recording this on Monday evening. The Monday night games didn't even start yet. They're tipping off in about 5 minutes. During the playoffs, I actually like to watch the games. Usually I'm down to work and watch at the same time, but I wanted to get this recorded before they started so I could watch them. Hopefully, tonight goes better than Sunday. Holy crap. I went 0-4 against the spread in the NBA playoff games on Sunday. Which puts me at, I think, 5-9 against the spread on the postseason as a whole. Still super early. The NBA playoffs are almost 2 months long, so not worried about it, but it's definitely disappointing. Thank God for MLB. MLB's been great for me. I'm at 11-4 in the last 3 days, so MLB's been keeping me afloat. But yeah, we need this NBA crap to turn around immediately. So I'm going to go through the games. Let's roll.
Welcome to the SWUS. The SWUS. Hey, get the SWUS.
First up, we got Phoenix on the road in Minnesota for Game 2. Looks like the T-Wolves are laying 3 points at home, and the total sitting at 212.5. Let's take a quick look at the spreadsheet, and according to the model, we should see a 2-point Minnesota win. Final score, 112-110 T-Wolves. Injuries and inactives, and we'll start with Phoenix. Looks like everyone is good to go here for the Suns. Grayson Allen's on the report, though. He's listed as questionable. He's been dealing with an injury for a while now, but he's listed as questionable. We'll have to wait and see with him. On the Minnesota side, we got Kyle Anderson on the report. Kyle Anderson listed as questionable, so we're going to have to wait and see with him as well. So obviously, we need to start by talking about Game 1, right? Minnesota won big. 120-95 was the final score. T-Wolves are pretty much in control start to finish. Suns did bring it back to, I think it was a 4-point game. Yeah, it was a 4-point game with 6 minutes to go in the third quarter. So Phoenix did show some signs of life there right out of halftime. But as a whole, this game was all Minnesota start to finish. If you take a look at how this game went down, look no further than the rebounding battle. I mean, obviously, we know Minnesota won by 25 points. Look at the rebounds. 52-28. Minnesota nearly doubled them up in the rebounding department. 52-28 is serious. Turnovers were dead even, 15 apiece. Points in the paint, 52-34. Now, I'm not too worried about the points in the paint. Phoenix doesn't take many shots in the paint, so Minnesota's going to win that battle regardless. Phoenix doesn't care about winning that battle. But I do want to talk about the rebounding discrepancy in Game 1. Now, I know when you look at these two teams on paper, you might see 52-28 rebounds, and you might think, hey, that makes sense. Gobert, Towns against Nurkic and Durant are the 4 and 5 for Phoenix. But just because, I mean, NBA games aren't played on 2K. Just because a team looks on paper like they should be a great rebounding team, that doesn't necessarily make it true. If you look at the rebounding numbers from these two teams on the season, you'll see that they've actually been pretty close. 9th to 21st on the offensive end, 20th to 9th on the defensive end. Now, we know Karl Anthony Towns missed a huge chunk of the year, and now that he's healthy, Minnesota is probably the better rebounding team, but 52-28? No way. That's like first versus 30th. There's no way. Even though I think Minnesota will win the rebounding battle in this series, still 52-28, there's definitely room for regression there. I expect the rebounding battle to be much closer in Game 2. To me, the real question we need to answer is right here. Phoenix shooting. The last 15 games of the regular season, the Suns were first in three-point percentage, fourth in field goal percentage. You can see right here, 49.6% from the floor, 41.1% from three. In Game 1 against Minnesota, 44% from the floor and 32.1% from three. Now, was this just an off shooting night for the Suns, or was this a statement from Minnesota's defense that they're official as hell and Phoenix is not going to be able to get what they want offensively in this series? Whenever you have a question like that, usually the answer is somewhere in the middle. Yes, Minnesota's defense is that good, and yes, we need to give them some respect. Points are going to be tough to come by for the Suns in this series, but also the Suns' offense is not going to be that bad. Look at Devin Booker's numbers in Game 1. 5 of 16 from the floor, 18 points, a 5-4 assist-to-turnover ratio. We know Devin Booker is not going to go out like this, and it's not just because he's a superstar and he's bound to bounce back, even though that is true. It's also his specific play style. It's almost immune to defense. When Devin Booker is on, it really doesn't matter what the defense is doing. It's because he's taking shots you really can't stop. So the fact that Minnesota's defense is elite, that could be true, but Devin Booker is still bound to bounce back. And Anthony Edwards. Now, we know this guy is absolutely elite, but 14 of 24 from the floor, 4 for 8 from 3. 33 points. I mean, he's not going to shoot over 58% for the entire playoffs. So even though I don't see any reason to doubt Anthony Edwards, he probably has another big game, but there's still room for regression there. So as far as betting this game, I think it's safe to say that Minnesota is not playing around, and a lot of people, including myself, underestimated them. I think many people had Phoenix cruising through this series. Maybe not a sweep, but I think most people had Phoenix advancing in their bracket. Clearly that's not the case. This is going to be a tough one for the Suns. Minnesota is not playing games. They're playing great defense right now. That being said, I'm sticking to my guns here. I said before game 1, I wouldn't be surprised if the Suns dropped game 1. If they did, I'd go right back to them in game 2. That's exactly what happened, and I'm sticking to that, even though I'm a little worried at how good Minnesota looks, specifically on the defensive side. But I'm sticking to my guns. I still think the Suns win this series. So give me Phoenix +3 next game. Indiana on the road in Milwaukee. We got the Bucks laying a 1.5 here, and the total sitting at 221.5. Let's take a quick look at the spreadsheet. According to the model, we should see a 1-point Pacers win. Final score 117-116 Indiana. Injuries and inactives, and we'll start with Indiana, and we got nobody. Nobody on the report for the Pacers. On the Milwaukee side, Giannis is listed as questionable. He obviously sat out in game 1. Still not giving us any information here for game 2. He's listed as questionable. So obviously we need to start by talking about game 1. Milwaukee wins comfortably, 109-94. It was actually more of a blowout than that for most of the game. Indiana made it interesting, had a little run there in the second half, but still the Bucks win comfortably. Now when we pull up stats from game 1, if you take points out of it, you might be looking at these thinking, how did Indiana get blown out here? They won the rebounding battle. Turnovers was pretty much even. They won the battle points in the paint, 40-34. They outscored them in the fast break. How did the Pacers get their ass beat in this game? Simple, right here. One team was making shots and one team wasn't. Field goal percentage, 39.6, 47.1. Three-point percentage, 21.1, 37.8. Very simple. One team's shots were falling and one team's weren't. This is the NBA. It happens. Some nights the shots just aren't falling. So my overall opinion of this series hasn't changed. Can't trust this Bucks team at all without Giannis. Really not big on the Pacers team either, though. If you remember in game 1, I only put half of my money on Pacers. I put the other half on Bucks team total under to protect myself, which actually worked. Saved me a few dollars. But yeah, I can't trust this Bucks team without Giannis. And if you look at specifically the box score for Indiana, can Siakam and Halliburton get some help? Look at Siakam and Halliburton versus the rest of the Pacers team. 45-49. They scored half the team's points. Field goal percentage, 59.4 Siakam and Holly, 28.8 the rest of the team. They had almost half the team's rebounds, those two guys. Miles Turner went 5 of 17 from the floor. I mean, somebody on this Pacers roster is bound to step up and have a decent game here. It's not going to happen again. So I like the Pacers to bounce back and some shots to fall for them. And another thing that I just don't see happening again, Damian Lillard, 6 of 11 from 3, scored 35 points in the game. He was excellent. The Pacers have an elite three-point defense, probably a top 5 three-point defense. I very seriously doubt that happens again. So there's just way too much regression on the side of Indiana. And I don't think Giannis is going to play. I'm not going to bet this one yet because if Giannis is ruled in, obviously that changes everything. But there's just no way I'd take Milwaukee here. I'd go right back to the Pacers. Maybe the same exact bet. Pacers +1.5 and Bucks team total under. I might go with that. I think the Pacers' three-point defense shows up and holds the Bucks shooters down. So I like the Pacers, but I'm not going to bet it. I'm waiting on Giannis news. I'll let you know on the live show. And the last game is Mavs Clips. I actually haven't gotten to that one yet. I'm going to do it late tonight after the games are over. So we'll talk about that one on the live show. It's at 4 p.m. Eastern time. I got U-Capper coming back. I got Crispy Capping coming back. I'll ask Gee, see if he can join us. We'll go through all 3 games, make our final decisions. Then we'll do the MLB picks with me, Toast, Prop Beaver, and Matt Modai. So loaded show for Tuesday. If you're able to make it, we'd love to see you in the comments. If you want my top bets or you want to join our Discord, head over to KyleKirms.com. The information's right there on the homepage. Let's have ourselves a great Tuesday. Hopefully by the time you're watching this, I bounce back in NBA. We'll see. Yeah, remember to bet responsibly, and I'll talk to you in the Discord.